Hello, hello, hello. I am Jessetta Yvonne, your abundant life and divorce coach, coming on for a quick moment with a quick message on this Friday. I hope this video finds you well. So, I was watching this really good show. It is called The Never Ever Met on the OWN network. I think it's on the OWN network. Yeah, the OWN network. And it's about these couples that met online. They had been dating for some, I think maybe 3 months to 12 years online without ever meeting each other. And it instantly intrigued me because nowadays people aren't always meeting people at the grocery store, at restaurants, at lounges, at nightclubs, at school. People are meeting each other online also, because now that's an option, and it's not something that was an option when we were growing up. I'm an 80s baby, so the internet and stuff wasn't even out then. And it was interesting to kind of see it play out, but I thought it had some great life lessons on it, and I wanted to come on and share those with you. And hopefully, if you have not checked it out, there may be some spoilers here, so you may not want to watch the video, because I may say things that may spoil it for you, possibly. But anyway, let's get into it, because I think sometimes online dating gets a bad rep, and honestly, you can meet people in person and sometimes you can still not know them. Anyone that's been married will tell you that you are always learning about the person that you're with. And some of us is constantly evolving. We're constantly learning about ourselves and growing. And as you grow, sometimes you change. And there are things that you no longer do or like. And when you're in a relationship, that person may do the exact same thing. But also, when you're in each other's space 24/7, it's really hard to hide. So anyway, some of the life lessons from the Never Ever Mets. One of them: what you see is not always what you get. Age does not bring maturity. There was a couple that was, I think the man was 51 and the woman, Diamond, she was in her 40s, and he was older than her. And I think that's why she felt so comfortable with him, because he was leading with the right words and saying all the perfect things while they were there in the house. And her sister met him. Her sister did not like him because of some things I think he did on, I think they said Facebook or something like that. But at the end, it appeared to not have worked out. They're still together from what I saw last week. But she said, although he proposed to her, it had been hell living with him. And it's because he led with lies. He was still speaking and talking to some of his exes on the phone daily, even though she had made it clear that she was not comfortable with it. But she didn't find this out until she got in the house with him, because he said that he was willing to not interact with all these other women he had before. He called himself a coach with a team, and that, you know, when you pick the one, you let the team go. But turns out, now that they're in the house together, he hasn't let the team go, and she has quickly found out that he has led with lies. He proposed to her as if he was ready to settle down and be serious, and that is not where his head is at. And he's 51. So he is someone that is still playing games. And I think that is something, I think sometimes people think that, you know, age brings maturity, and it does not always bring maturity. Everyone that is older is not mature. They are not wise. And we have to differentiate between age, maturity, character, because it sounds like he's been a player before, and it sounds like he may enjoy it and the attention it brings. And her sister thought, you know, he wasn't the one, and he tried to accuse her of hating. But I thought that was another good life lesson, is that everyone that is speaking to you about something that they see in your partner, especially when they're a friend or this is her sibling, her sister, to me, that doesn't equate to hate. You know, sometimes people are not hating. They just see something that you don't see because you're so in love and you're so entrenched with this person. But they can see things that from the naked eye that you're missing because you may have a soul tie with them, or you may want this to work out so bad that you're willing to overlook some things. And I think that is kind of what was happening here. Because honestly, when they gave the update and she was saying it's been hell, I was so surprised. Because he's, like I said, he said all the right things on the show. He did all the right things. He appeared to come with no game playing. I will say his daughter, though. His daughter, her face when he told her he was engaged caused concern. Anyway, the next life lesson. People will waste your time if you let them. There was this one couple, Joshua and Shay. They had been together the longest, long distance, without seeing each other ever, 12 years. Of course, that was alarming, you know. But when they got in the house, I mean, it was like they were all lovey-dovey. They hadn't missed a beat. So you were like, oh, maybe this is going to be good. Maybe they're headed, you know, in the right direction, because it seems like in person they are really, you know, going to move forward. Fast forward, that's not what happened. He got back to his town, she got back to her town. They hadn't really spoken much. He had some, you know, some losses with his family, and then his best friend. He had like 3 deaths in a short period of time when he got back. And she sent her condolences, but to him, that wasn't enough. He didn't see that as support. And I thought that was interesting when he said that, because that is his perspective. She may have thought she was being supportive by sending her condolences, and since they didn't talk through it and him say, I need you to come here, everyone handles death differently. Some people need space, others need and want more. But after that, I guess he decided to date other people. And so unfortunately, 12 years down the drain. Now, I wouldn't give anybody 12 years online. That's just not my thing. I'm I'm quick to be like, I'm good. But I thought, oh wow, 12 years. 12 years. And hopefully, now that this has transpired, she doesn't allow him to waste any more of her time. Let me see, what else? Another one was Jody and Aaron. And I hope he finds what he's looking for, because he seems like he is such a sweet guy. But again, Jody knew that she was not immediately, but she recognized later on that she was not fully into him. And instead of her being upfront and letting him know, she didn't immediately. So he continued to pursue her and try to impress her and try to wow her in hopes that she would return his affections. And she didn't. And so therefore, time was wasted. Another thing I thought about, I've had friends that have gotten married to guys offline. They've had a successful marriage, so kudos to them, because that's not everybody's story. But I thought about, as I saw these couples interacting with each other, there are just certain things you just cannot pick up about a person through text and a phone call or video calls, because you're not in their space. And I thought about the first couple. I can't remember I know Alexis was her name. I think his name was Dominique, maybe. Was his name Dominique? I know her name was Alexis, but I remember on their first night there, he felt like she was very flirtatious with men in the house, and he didn't like how she carried herself when she was there. And when they were there together, they ended up getting into an altercation on the first night, and he put his hands on her. Now, they had spent all this time, I think maybe 3 to 6 months on the, doing this long distance thing. They had never met before. Might have been a year. It had been a while. But immediately, the first time he felt like he was being disrespected, he put hands on her. And I think she was shocked. She just couldn't believe, like, oh wow, this man just put his hands on me. We're just now meeting, but we've been, online dating with no problems. Another thing you can't tell from just online dating is, do they overindulge? Do they nitpick and nag? Do they pick up behind themselves? What is the energy? I think when you're with someone and it's not online and you're in their space, you're able to tell quicker if it's something that's gonna work or not. Now, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes you can tell quickly by phone, depending on how the person's talking or what they're saying. But some things you just can't tell, because they're leading with their best foot forward. And sometimes some things are just kind of hard to read. They can get lost in translation, especially if it's text. But yeah, it's just certain things that you have to be in someone's space to get a better idea of how they move in this world, how they handle conflict. Because my first thought for Alexis, when he did that to her in front of cameras, I was like, oh, what would he do if there wasn't cameras? Because he didn't think twice about laying hands on you or snatching you up. and then apologizing. No. Another thing I thought about that was a life lesson that was really good is sometimes we lie to ourselves about what we really want because we think we can't have it. And this came to me because Jody was having a sit down with the therapist, and she told, well, her and Aaron both had said they both agreed that they felt like marriage was a business, not love. And I remember when the therapist spoke with her and told her, you are deserving of love. And she began to shake, and I don't think she had a full cry, but I think it was enough of a realization that it was a reality check for her, that she absolutely wanted to marry someone that loved her, in addition to, of course, there being, I guess, some sort of business, because I mean, it is contractual. When you get married, you do sign a contract, but love was important to her, because at first she was saying it wasn't. And she quickly learned that, okay, maybe I have some things to deal with that I haven't dealt with, and I haven't done that. I am deserving of love. I want love. I don't want to just marry for business. And I thought that was great for her to learn. But I feel like she probably already knew that. She just felt like she wasn't going to get it in this lifetime because she may not have experienced love in the way that she had desired to so far. And to be honest, the young man that was pursuing her, Aaron, he seemed like he was really sweet. He seemed like he was super sweet. And I'm not sure if he just wasn't her type, or it's just, you know, the place that she's in life right now. But I think she's going to look back one day and really appreciate the effort he put forth with trying to show her how much he cared about her, at least. Because everybody's not going to do that for you. Another life lesson I thought about when I saw Sandia and Chris, which they're doing really well. But I remember his friend came and he talked about, you know what we're about. We're about smashing, and there's a lot of just sex talk, kind of rude stuff he was saying. And I can't even say it was rude, because he was saying that's what he does and that's what he believes, and he said that's what Chris normally does. So he was just leading with the truth. I felt like with that, even if, you know, I couldn't tell if he was telling the truth, trying to shock people, or what. Chris was saying it wasn't true. Who knows? Only Chris and his best friend knows. But I've always been taught that sometimes, not always, but sometimes birds of a feather flock together. And even though they're working out and everything's going well for them, I think that's something she should definitely keep close. You know, keep it notated in your head of what his friend has said, because his best friend knows him. And if this is what he has done in the past, and if this is not something he is willing to change, then in the future there could be heartbreak. Also, I can remember she walked in one evening on Chris talking to the guys, and him saying a lot of things that kind of aligned with what his friend had said. And he was, you know, I'm not with, yeah, she's not my girlfriend, and I can do what I want. You know, he was just, and maybe he was just talking for the guys, but I thought that was interesting that he said that and she overheard it. because he didn't know she was there at first. So I would keep all of that close to me if I was her. But also I thought was a great life lesson was he talked about Chris, about a past relationship he had where he had given his all and it turned bad. And he felt like when he looked back, he was being used. And when he said that, it made me wonder, is that why he had his guard up a little bit with Sandia, or why he was being so critical of her? Because we can't make people pay for what our previous partner did to us. That's not fair to them. Either heal, take a break, but don't make the next person pay for what the previous partner did to you, because they didn't do it. That person did. And it's something that you have to come to terms with and heal from. And I think that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, it looks like Sandia and Chris are doing great, though. He did have some interesting views about women and their choices that I thought was concerning as well. He thinks women don't make good choices. And he said he still stood on that, but he couldn't name a bad choice that Sandia had made. But yeah, and then Millie, at the end, I remember Millie and Greg. I really liked their relationship. Some people thought that, she was a little mean, but I really liked them for each other. They just seemed to really mesh. He seemed to be very understanding. They both had went through some type of trauma before, where they had been inappropriately touched, and it sounded like, she said even aped, the R word, which is really, really sad and traumatic that someone would force themselves on anyone, on a man or a woman. But yeah, check the show out. These are just some of the life lessons that I picked up from the show that I thought would be great to point out. But the show was really good. I enjoyed their journeys. And hopefully there's a part 2 that comes out on OWN. Anyway, enjoy your Friday. I didn't expect the video to be this long. Time to cook next. Stay in peace, stay positive, and stay empowered. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, and tell me below what you enjoyed about the show if you got a chance to watch it. Have a great Friday. Bye-bye.